So I've been getting a lot of emails and messages in the Facebook group that have been asking me many of the same questions. So I thought what I'd do is create a YouTube channel where I'm going to be addressing those questions. So in today's video, we're basically going to be laying the foundation of copywriting, just so that we can sort of touch on all of the different beginner questions that I often get. So what I'm going to be doing is just walking us through a document here of different notes I've made. This document is by no means meant to make you a master copywriter. It's rather just to uh, make you aware of the different elements involved in copywriting, so that you actually understand uh, the field we're playing on. Cool. So let's jump into it. So what we're going to be doing is first laying out the foundation here. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the 5 different parts of copy. So the 5 different sections, every single piece of content that you engage with is actually consisting of. The first one is the introduction. The second is the story. The third is the content. The fourth is the transition. And the fifth is the pitch. So throughout this video, we'll be discussing all of those and then breaking those down further. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So we'll start getting into the copy now, just to provide you with an idea of what copy is. Copy simply provides narrative to your product. Narrative is what causes the desire for more information, like when watching an episode of a TV show and you're wanting to know what happens next. That's because you are aware of and understand the narrative up until that point, and you want to know what the future narrative is. Basically, as I'm reading through these notes, I'll intermittently stop and just further clarify what it is I've read. The reason I'm showing you the notes is so that you can follow along with me. But where I feel it's relevant to provide clarity, I'll stop and do so. So if you look at what we've just read now with regards to narrative, every single one of your prospects, where they are now in life, they are telling themselves a narrative of where they have already been, who they are now as a result of where they've been, and they also give themselves reasons as to why they're currently where they're at, regardless of the fact that they aspire to have a future that they don't currently have. If there is somebody in the world who is already completely at peace with where they already are, then technically there isn't any single product or service that could satisfy that person, right? They're already happy with everything they've got. They have no problems in life. Everything is taken care of. If they have a problem in life, well, then they're looking for a solution to that problem, which in that case could be your product or service. With our copy, we're simply providing narrative to the prospects that do have so-called problems in life, so that they can understand how it is that your product or service is going to guide them to that new desired reality. Cool. So there are 5 parts of copy that we don't want to exclude any of. So we don't want to exclude any of these 5 parts. It's vital to make sure that we craft copy that carries the correct narrative to actually help our prospects understand or have our prospects believe that our solution, our product or service is the solution to their problem. So these 5 parts, each of these 5 parts of copy exist for a specific reason. In other words, each section has a why for its existence. If you exclude any of these 5 parts, your copy will lack narrative. So the first part is the introduction. The introduction or the introduction's why is what's in it for me. Another way of phrasing that is, what is the reason that there is an introduction in copy? And that's simply to help your prospect answer the question of what's in it for me, right? People aren't interested in paying their attention to things that they do not benefit from. Your prospect is looking to acquire the future that they desire, and unless your product or service is positioned with narrative in such a way that your prospect can see why paying you, your product or your service, any attention is of a benefit to them, they will not listen to you, right? So you need to introduce your product in a way that helps your prospect understand that it will help them get to their desired reality. And if you do so, they will pay you attention. The only purpose of your introduction is for your prospect to carry on reading your text or watching your video. The purpose of your introduction isn't to sell your product. Okay, so the next part 2 of 5, is story. The reason story exists is simply to build a connection with your prospects. It's to establish trust with them. The connection is trust. Okay? You are trying to relate to your prospects, and you want them to think that you are one of them. Right? So in the case that you're a personal brand, your prospects need to feel that you've experienced life as they have. Regardless of whether you've gone through the same experiences of life, at the end of the day, your identity is that of somebody who questions the world the same way that your prospects do, and aspire to have a reality that your prospects aspire to have. You want to then also state that you had the same problem your prospect currently feels that they are going through or facing, and that you've either discovered or created the solution to the problem. Okay, so in relating to them, the reason you want to relate to them is because your prospects don't trust somebody that they feel hasn't gone through their experiences or faced their problems. Also, one thing to note is that people don't trust other people who brag about how successful they are. They trust people that they feel understand who they are and what they've been going through. Okay, so you aren't trying to sort of preach about your product or service from a position of authority, saying, look at me, I'm better than you, and this is the reason I'm better than you. Instead, you want to inform them of your product or service from the perspective of, hey, I've gone through what you've gone through. I used to be in your position. I used to have these beliefs about the world, which made me feel a certain way about myself, about my environment. And I thought the problem was X, Y, Z. I then tried ABC solutions. None of them worked until one day I discovered this product, or I created this product, and my life changed, blah, 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 blah. All right, so Batman versus Robin. You want to position yourself as Robin and position your system or your product or your solution as Batman. You are not the hero in your product's eyes. Your solution is the hero, right? You are not where you are because of you. You are where you are because of what your product allowed you to overcome, right? So once again, these points are basically to help you understand how you're meant to be positioning yourself. in relation to the positioning you have of your product. This isn't about making yourself seem holier than thou. This is simply about relating to your audience or your prospects by having them understand that you were exactly where they were. You wanted the same things they wanted, and because of your product, you were able to get to where you wanted to go, and they can too. Right? So you position yourself as Robin, position your system as Batman. If you position yourself as Batman, you make it seem like you are the billionaire with all the tools who can do whatever they want to, right? When you position yourself as Robin, you are just the guy who is fortunate enough to have access to the cool tools and cool stuff and benefits that come from having access to the solution, right? You want to sell your system and product, not yourself. So, for example, I'm a normal dude like you. I went through the obstacles and struggles and limiting beliefs, etc. But I persevered and I figured out this system which now affords me X, Y, Z. You can have access to the same system and have the same access to X, Y, Z, right? Your story builds connection, not credibility. The next part builds credibility. Your product is the hero, not you. So I think you guys get the point. I don't want to carry on beating on the same point here. So let's move on to the next section, which is the content. So the content here, the reason we create content is simply to establish credibility by providing value. Okay, you do this by teaching your prospects the what, not by teaching them the how. For example, telling your prospects about Facebook Audience Insights. Don't log into Facebook Audience Insights and walk them around. If you log in, they'll then think, okay, let me first go and figure all these things out that he's already walked me through and then consider buying. So just one note here before I elaborate on that point. When you show people how to do something, it kills your sales. Whether or not you've actually given them the secret ingredients that they need to do in order to already accomplish the goals that they seek to accomplish, simply by making them aware of the different tools or different components involved in your solution, they will feel that they would first need to go and figure out each one of those different components before deciding whether or not they should buy. Okay, so your goal isn't to walk people through the different components. Your goal is simply to make them aware that the components exist, right? So when it comes to Facebook marketing, for example, there's a tool called Audience Insights, which helps you better understand the different people you could target on Facebook and helps you refine your targeting with your Facebook ads and all of that to reach a more specific group of people. For example, rather than just advertising a product to women, you could advertise a product to mothers who live in a certain area and earn a certain income, who've been in a relationship for 3 years, who read books related to self-help and own dogs. Okay, that's far more of a targeted group than just women. So rather than walking people through the Audience Insights tool and showing them how it's used, you would simply mention the fact that Audience Insights is a tool that's used, which will greatly decrease the amount of ad spend that people have if, for example, you were selling a product that was teaching people how to lower their ad spend. Okay, so when you teach people what to do, you are still providing enough content to display your value, expertise at what you're good at. So simply because you're not walking people through the Audience Insights tool itself, it doesn't mean you aren't able to talk about the Audience Insights tool in a way that conveys your authority adequately. So you therefore need to tell them something that they don't already know. So this is how you basically establish authority, right? So long as you're one step ahead of the person you're speaking to, you are the authority in that case, right? If you don't know how to post a video to Instagram, your friend who does know is the authority in that situation. You would then seek out their advice on how to post a video to Instagram. That's basically what we're trying to do with the content, is position ourselves as the authority and thus establish credibility, right? So we're showing them that we know that different tools, different components of whatever you're offering exist. We're also speaking about it in such a way that clearly shows our understanding of those things. So you therefore want to tell them something that they don't already know, or tell them something controversial. For example, telling marketers direct marketing is dead, give me 5 minutes to prove it. You then need to prove it. Tell them something they didn't know, which then establishes you as credible. All right. You want your content to make the viewer have as many aha moments as possible. The more aha moments they have, the more realizations they will think you are capable of giving them. Ultimately, they already believe, or many people, should I say, already believe that they are capable of attaining the reality that they want, or overcoming the obstacles that they face, which are preventing them from attaining the reality they want. They simply need to know how to do it. When you provide these aha moments in your content, you are not only establishing yourself as a credible source, as an authority, but you're also showing that you have value to offer, and that you potentially have access to the information they are looking to gain, which will get them from where they are now to where the point that they aspire to be. Ideally, the content you teach should go against conventional wisdom or the point of view your prospect already has, and then prove to them that you are right and they are wrong, because they will then be in a state of limbo, not knowing what to do, because they thought that they had to, because what they thought they had to do is actually not going to work. So now they are looking for your answers as the authority. Right, so not only have you shown them that you're the authority, discussing concepts that they were either unaware of or that they believed to be the milestones to the future that they wish to attain, but you've also said that what they thought was the right direction to move in is in fact the wrong direction to move in. Now this is showing that you're the authority and the credible source to trust, because not only do you have the information they aspire to attain, but you also have learned lessons which they don't even know are lessons that they would have learned, right? So now you're sort of guiding them in the dark. You're sort of like their shaman, right? In their journey to attaining the future that they want. So up to this point, you've told them what your position is by providing content, and told them that they were wrong, what they were wrong about, but you've not told them what to do about it. If you don't prove your position to others and thus provide them with aha moments, they won't take the action you want them to take, because they likely haven't been sold on your position. For example, you aren't going to be able to sell a product on how to lose 10 pounds in 10 days at the end of a funnel if at the beginning of your funnel your content is step 1, drink water, step 2, get exercise, step 3, eat less, step 4, get a good amount of sleep, because you've not told the viewer anything that they haven't heard before, and thus aren't establishing credibility on the topic of losing weight, and thus aren't providing them with any value, which makes them think that you don't have any value to add to their lives. Remember, people only listen to those whom they think can help them climb the social hierarchy. Right. So that's it for the content. Now the transition. Right, so in the transition, this is where we'll be asking the prospect to buy. The reason we have a transition is simply to sell your product or service. You also don't want to be scared at this point to sell. You should be the most excited you've been throughout your copy. If you're on video at this point, your energy levels should be as high as possible. You also don't want to shy away from the fact that you're selling. Instead, you want to embrace the elephant in the room and own it, because you're offering insane value. Okay, remember guys, we're in the business of actually solving people's problems. We're not in the business of claiming to solve people's problems. So knowing that you're capable of getting them from the point that they're at now, your prospects, from getting your prospects from the point that they're at now to the point that they want to be, understanding how valuable that is to them, and then charging them less value than they would find in actually being in that position, that's of immense value in and of itself, right? So for example, clearly put, if your prospect is at a point now in life where they want to get to a whole new world basically, and that to them is worth $100,000 in value, if we just had to put a monetary term on it, and you are charging $2,000 for your product, the mere fact that you're capable of actually getting them to that point that they aspire to be, and you're able to offer that solution to them, or offer a product or service to them that's capable of doing that for less than the value that they'd actually get from being in that position, that's mind-blowing. So you shouldn't at all be shy about the fact that you're now saying, here's what it costs, right? We'll actually be getting into the pitch next. So this transition doesn't go about actually mentioning price or anything like that, so don't be confused. But I'm just trying to emphasize that at this point, you want to be excited about the fact that you're able to offer them your product or service. Okay. The easiest way to address the elephant in the room is to answer this question: why am I asking for your money? What is in it for me? Okay. When people are buying a product from you, they want to know why it is that you're even asking them for money. As crazy as that may seem, that is a question people or your prospects will have in their mind, right? It's the reason that a charity, for example, will fully explain what their cause is, or why businesses will, other than for branding purposes, represent or claim to be giving some of the profits over to a charity. Then they need to feel like there's a purpose. Other than you simply getting the money, the money will be resulting in something that they believe in. So if, for example, the money was going to some oppressive organization, that person would then feel like they would rather carry on shopping, or your prospect might feel like they'd rather carry on shopping the market, looking for somebody else who is capable of offering them the product or service that will get them to the reality that they desire, rather than giving their money to you when they know that the money, in addition to getting them the reality they desire, is going to be spent on some oppressive organization. Just to give like a drastic example. So answering the question, why am I asking for money? What's in it for me? For example, I'm asking for money because this is my life. This is my business. I have employees. I want to provide you with the best service, and I have to put food on my table. All right? So it's very simple. You want to get from where you are now to where you want to be. I used to be where you are now. I got to where you want to be via my product or my service. I am going to help you get to where you want to go via my product or service, but I'm going to do so for a fee. Now, the fee is less money than, or the fee, I am asking less value of you than the value you will get as a result of having my product or service get you to the life you want. But that is going to be for a fee. And the reason I need to charge is quite simply because I've put a lot of time and effort into making this as clear and concise and as high quality of a product or service as I could. It is, in my opinion, the best on the market. In order to get this in front of your eyes right now, took not only my effort and my time and dedication to purchasing the best products, doing market research, spending countless hours interviewing prospects, finding out how I could make this product even better, figuring out how to build a website, employing a team to help me with the sales, etc., etc., etc. I have to put food on my table at the end of the day. So if you want that, you have to be willing to pay, right? Now, this is obviously an exaggerated way of how you would go about saying all of this, but I'm using exaggerated examples so that you clearly understand the point I'm trying to make. They need to understand you are asking them for money and that you will be using the money for a cause that they can support, right? Putting food on your table, paying your employees, and making sure that you carry on offering them the highest quality product and service possible. That's something that all of your prospects can get behind. Okay. People like to buy but hate to be sold. So you need to make it seem like it was their idea that you started pitching. You do this by saying, guys, I've got something great to share with you, but I'm not going to tell you what it is until at least 50% of you are saying yes in the comments. So this is something that's only really relevant if you're doing like a webinar or a live sales call or something along that nature, or you're giving a speech, for example. So you're saying, listen, I've got something amazing for you. It's extremely valuable. It's going to help you achieve X, Y, Z, but I'm not here to simply offer value to I'm not here to simply speak or offer value to people who aren't interested in hearing it. I want to know that this isn't a waste of my time and that you guys are actually interested in hearing what it is I have to say. So until at least 50% of you are saying yes, I'm not going to go any further. Cool. Do I have your permission? Everybody says yes. And then you continue on to say, okay, well, I've created X, Y, Z. You don't want to linger on the transition or it becomes awkward. So this entire section of the copy should be fairly straightforward and fairly quick. You're excited. You aren't afraid to be blunt about the fact that you're now transitioning to offer them a product. You're aware of the fact that you're offering them, your prospects, a lot of value, and you're making it clear that you're charging them money because for reasons that they can support. That's the entire point of the transition. Now is when you actually, after have received their permission to carry on with your pitch, to actually blatantly saying, I now have a product, you get to the fifth stage or the fifth element of copy, which is the pitch. So the reason the pitch exists is because this is where you confirm the sale, right? As you'll see now in the points below, the pitch, even though this is where you're mentioning the fact that you have a product for them to sell, for your prospect to buy, you have a product to sell, this isn't actually where the sale happens in terms of the psychological decision of okay, this guy's got given me crazy amounts of value. He seems like an authority. He's taught me things that I wanted to know. And now he has a product that he's offering me the ability to buy. This isn't the point at which they decide whether or not they would buy from you. Okay, so we'll get to that just now. So this is where you simply confirm the sale. By confirming that you're providing more value than cost of your product. Most people think that the pitch is where you get the sale, but it is not. The pitch is where you confirm the sale. You sell them during the content. They've carried on watching because they want to find out if the value they get is greater than the price. If the value is greater than the price, you will buy. Your pitch should reaffirm their decision to purchase. It should reaffirm that the decision they've made to buy is the right decision and that they cannot possibly let this opportunity go. If you think about a commercial on TV, if you flip through channels and an ad starts, you don't stick around for the end of the ad where you say, where they say you'll get X and Y and Z and also ABC just to be sold. You've stuck around that long because you're already sold and you already want the product. You now just want to find out if the value you're getting is greater than the price cost of the product. So if someone is still listening to you during your pitch, they've already been sold. They already believe that you're offering them a lot of value, which they are willing to purchase, right? But now is the point where they are confirming whether or not they are going to purchase based on the price that you're charging for your product, right? I think that's pretty clear. So to emphasize the last 2 points here, or just to restate the last 2 points, you're transitioning from your content where you've established yourself as an authority, where you've built value. In your story, you already built sense of trust by making it clear that you understand the problems that they face, that you were once in their position, and that you also aspire to have a life which was void of the problem that they're currently facing, that the solution, your product or service, is the bridge which will take them from the world which has their problem to the world that doesn't have their problem. You've very easily transitioned transition to your pitch while making it seem like it was their idea for you to start pitching in the first place. And now during the pitch, they are basically sticking around to find out whether or not you're trying to charge them $10,000 to solve a $100 problem, or whether you're trying to charge them $100 to solve a $10,000 problem. Okay, step 1, 2, and 3, which are the introduction, the story, and the content, are what sell to the emotional brain. So this is really helping them see a future in which the problem no longer exists. While step 5 sells to the logical brain. Step 4, the transition, is simply the transition between the two brains, right? If your tone and demeanor start to dip during step 4, then your emotional brain won't pass it on to your logical brain. Instead, your prospects will start to question why you're second guessing yourself. The sale is made in your emotional brain. If you maintain a strong frame and tone, then you will sell to the emotional brain, and then it'll let the logical brain buy. The logical brain will then just want to crunch the numbers. Okay, so steps 1 through 3, where you've introduced yourself, you've gotten their attention, you've told them what benefit they have in the introduction, like what's the benefit, what will they get out of it. Step 2, you've built the trust, the connection with them by showing that you're understanding showing an understanding of their current frustrations, their current reality, and the reality they aspire to attain. And then step 3, the content, showing that you are an authority with regard to the direction they believe they need to be heading in order to attain their desired reality. You've then transitioned to the pitch, where you've then offered them the ability to purchase your product for less value then they would get ultimately. All right, so that's it for the 5 main elements of copy. And next, we're going to be going into the market research, which is how we actually fill in the information. How do we know what to say, etc. So let's move on to that now. We'll be discussing doing market research, and it's very vital that you guys understand how important doing market research is, because when we start writing our copy, the last thing we want to do is assume that we understand the perspectives, the values, the beliefs, the frustrations, or the wants that your prospects have. So in doing our market research, it's really going to help us actually find information on all of those points that's coming directly from our target market or our prospects, rather than just something we think of, sitting around by ourselves all day, assuming that we understand what the market wants. It's really going to help you position your product as the solution to whatever problem they're facing, or as the bridge that closes the gap from where they are now to where they want to be. So once again, we're going to be discussing market research. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're now talking about the market research that you want to get into when trying to find out basically the wording you want to use. One thing you need to keep in mind, and this will be discussed in future videos. As I mentioned, this video is simply meant to help make you aware of the different components involved in copywriting. It's not meant to help you actually become a good copywriter. So this is really the introduction to the introduction of videos. So when writing copy, you really want to use the words that are actually spoken by your market. When you can phrase things the way that they phrase things, it just helps resonate with the words that they're already saying to themselves in their minds. So one of the techniques you can do is go and find 10 different competitors' video sales letters and note all of the similar problems they address. You can also note the wording that they use when addressing the problems. So do be sure to look for jargon. Also note the pain points. What pain points are different products in the same niche pointing at? Your story must be built around these pain points. You want to understand the brand you are writing copy for, if not writing for yourself. So the way you talk about the brand will differ based on whether or not it's well known in the industry or not. You need to understand your target audience and how their pain points relate to that audience. You need to understand the solution you are offering your target audience and whether or not it is actually the right solution to be offering them based on the pain points that they're experiencing. You need to find copy that addresses your target market with your competitor's product. So basically find your competitor's product, find any copy that they're putting out that's meant to be basically pulling in the prospects that you are hoping to get the attention of, and note the wording that they use. So when it comes to finding your hook and your USP, so hook is basically just something that's going to get the attention of your target market or your prospects, and then your unique selling proposition. So you need to know why people should buy your product and not somebody else's. Your credibility isn't your USP. Your USP needs to be customer oriented, meaning what is it that your product will allow your customer to accomplish that no other product can. So if we look at the hook, this is what it is that you're selling or teaching. What is the specific problem you are solving? Why your program, your product, your service, what's different about it? A good way to figure out your why for the hook is to pretend you are arguing with a competitor of yours, and you are telling them what their product lacks when compared to yours. Imagine your prospect is then a bystander eavesdropping on the conversation. They then need to walk away thinking that your solution is better than your competitors. So this is a pretty good little exercise you can do when trying to craft your copy correctly and basically out position your competitors. What's the story? Story is what sells. We've already spoken about the story and the meaning of story to build trust, or the purpose of story. Places to research your niche. You can look on ClickBank. What are people buying the most? You can search by gravity. You can then model your messaging after the best sellers. JV, Zoo, Amazon. On Amazon, simply search for a topic in your niche. For example, Forex, sort by the most reviews, look at the keywords they use in the title, and look at the table of contents for things you can use in your sales copy. Magazines, search your niche. If you want to look what magazine covers they have used in your niche, note the images and the text, potentially use their headlines. YouTube, search for the keywords in the niche, check the video titles. These are what make someone click on the video. So you can use these as headlines or talking points. Facebook audience insights. You can use this to analyze your audience better, who they are, what they like, gender, age, etc. The 4 styles of copy are written sales letter, video sales letter, webinar, and hybrid. The 5 factors that determine which style of copy you should use for each offer in your funnel. The price point of the product. So between $1 and $40 should be a written sales letter. Between $20 to $300 should be a video sales letter. $500 to $3,000 should be a webinar. And basically anything above $5,000 should require you to get on the phone with somebody. Though it's not completely necessary, I've seen many products being sold using something called the product launch formula, which is basically getting people into a sequence of free videos, which they can then be exposed to your credibility, establishing you as an authority, as somebody who can actually help them get from where they are now to where they want to be, whilst showing the quality of the content that you're going to be providing them. So this is like, picture a webinar that's split into 3 separate parts. That's basically what I've seen used for products being sold for $5,000 plus. Relationship, this is the level of relationship you want to have with the person that's seeing the offer. If they know who you are and have bought from you, then you don't need to sell as if they were completely new to you. The emotion, if you're selling a product on Forex, people aren't as interested in emotion. They want numbers. If you're selling weight loss, then people will be more emotional with regards to that. So we also have here the target audience. Who is it you're trying to sell the product to? You need to know their avatar. Do they like video more than copy? This you'll find out by testing. When targeting other people's audiences, you want to see what type of content that person creates. Are they creating text or video? What's the engagement like on the text versus the video? With video, you have the benefit of being able to see how many people have viewed the video. You want to give the audience what they're used to consuming. Not only that, but what they're most likely to engage with. So do your research and you'll find the answers to those questions. And then obviously if you're writing copy for a client, if you need to use video, you likely need to have that client be on video rather than yourself, obviously, or an actor. So that's it for this section. All right, guys. So we're now going to be discussing the different components involved in written sales letters. We're going to be discussing the headlines, the sub-headlines, as well as I'll be providing a couple different headline formulas, which are really great when you have writer's block. So, yeah, I think that's it. We're going to be discussing. Sorry, let me just go through the notes here quickly. The formula for the headlines. We'll be discussing how to talk about the problem. So, addressing the problem that your prospects are facing and stating that problem in such a way that they believe you actually understand their frustrations. We'll be discussing the promise. So, what it is you're claiming your solution is capable of doing or providing to them. What new future does your product or service basically unveil to your prospect? Then we'll be discussing the proof. So, rather than just making the claim that your product or service is the secret component that's been missing from their life, which will solve their problem and unveil this entire new world. We'll be discussing how to convey that with proof, what type of proof you should use, which type of proof is the most believable, for lack of a better term. We'll also be discussing price, scarcity of value, which is one of the motivators that you can use to get people to take action now. The guarantee, so how to craft a guarantee that makes purchasing your product or service virtually risk-free, right? For example, if you were looking for a new car and you've got dozens of options to choose from, if one of the car manufacturers had to say to you, hey, listen, I understand that you're concerned that you buy a car that you might not end up liking. If that was, for example, one of the objections that people had in their minds with regards to purchasing a new vehicle, you could then say, get the car, test it out for an entire month. We'll pay for the fuel. You can drive it as much as you like. And if you don't like it, return it at the end of the month. And that's it, right? How many people would be taking up that offer? Plenty of them. How many of those people would be purchasing the car at the end of the day? A lot of them as well. Sure, there's many things you'd have to consider, like how many people would just be going in and getting a free car for a month and repeating that over and over. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that you can basically get people to take the action you want them to take by removing any risk of doing so. We'll then be discussing the call to action. So, what clear instructions are you giving them that they need to take right here, right now, after listening to your message and believing the claims you've made? So there's different ways of phrasing calls to action that will result in people actually doing what you've asked them to do. And that's it. We'll also be discussing a couple other things in future videos. But that's it for now. Cool. Let's get into it. So we're now going to be talking about the written sales letter. As mentioned earlier, there are many different formats that you could use copy in, but they basically break into either being on video, so live, so you're actually in real life, or whether that's by video or actually face-to-face with somebody, using the copywriting tactics, I guess you could call them. It's more of a skill in order to persuade somebody that you have the solution to their problem, and they can get it from you. You're willing to give it to them. So right now we're going to be discussing the written sales letter. You need to make sure, if you're using a written sales letter, that you use good subheadlines. If somebody simply scans your copy, they should be able to tell what your narrative of your copy is just from having read the subheadlines. So if we look at the formula of sales copy, we have the powerful headline, which we'll discuss. As you can see here, there's many different formulas for the powerful headline. We have the problem, we have the promise, we have the proof, the price, scarcity or value, guarantee, call to action, and the PS, right? Then we have the visual flow. I think let's just start with the powerful headlines. So these are a couple different formulas you can use when looking to craft a powerful headline. In the headlines, it looks, every word in a headline begins with a capital letter, in case you're unaware. This is the reader's biggest benefit. It's the reason why they should stay on the page. Okay, so you need to make sure when you have a headline, you're trying to really capture somebody's attention, have them understand why it is that they should pay you any attention, basically answering the question of what's in it for me from the perspective of your prospect. So having the biggest benefit be shown as the headline is one of the ways that you could capture or increase your odds of capturing their attention from the start of your copy. So your headline is your chance to tell your prospective customers why you are the solution they've been looking for. It's the first impression. It's the most important copy element that will determine whether or not they stay or leave. You need to get your headline right. When writing your headline, remember some common solutions your prospects want to solve their problems quickly, a shortcut, save time, do so easily. They want to avoid work to get results. They want to save money, achieve results without spending a lot of dollars, right? Impress their friends, and they want to know something others don't. So some sample headlines, so a couple different formulas include how to benefit in less than time frame. So how to lose weight in less than 2 weeks, for example. Who else wants to benefit in only time frame? Who else wants to lose weight in only 2 weeks? What everybody should know about how to lose weight. Blank steps or tips to blank benefit. So 5 steps or tips to easily lose weight. To people who want to benefit but can't get started. So people who want to lose weight but can't get started. Finally discovered the secret of losing weight in just 2 weeks. It's a shame for you not to lose weight when these people do it so easily. Thousands now lose weight who never thought they could. Great new discovery helps you, let's just change the benefit here, make $1 million. This one is a great pre-headline, allows you to call out to your target audience directly before the headline. An open letter to men over 50, single moms, etc., who suffer from, want to, etc. So an open letter to men over 50 who want to make $1 million. When all else fails, the how to make $1 million headline always works. How to burn all of your belly fat in 24 hours. In 5 minutes, I'll show you my paint by numbers system for losing weight in less than 3 days, guaranteed. Warning, this could be the most important information you will ever read about making $1 million online. Give me just 1 hour of your time and I guarantee you will never have to worry about how to make money online again. If you have X amount of time, then you too can lose weight even if you have no clue or experience, or make money online even if you have no clue or experience. An instant shortcut to blank by an expert So an instant shortcut to make $1 million online by an expert marketer, right? I don't want to waste another minute on useless fad fitness advice. This one is good for reinforcing the idea that you have a USP, which answers the question that anyone should listen to you specifically. So don't waste a minute on useless fad advice. Forget everything you think about. So I'm just going to scroll through these here. So you can pause if you want to, rather than reading them all. Example of refining a headline by incorporating different elements: how to get traffic to your website, how to get thousands of visitors. So this is basically adding in specificity. So rather than just traffic, it's thousands of visitors to your website. How to get thousands of visitors per month. So adding a time frame. So specificity, time frame, 31 ways to get thousands of visitors per month to your website. Once again, adding more specificity, like actually saying how many ways, how many people, in what amount of time to get results. 31 ways to get thousands of visitors per month to your website. 31 proven ways, that's adding authority. It's like it's already tried and tested. It's not just 31 ways that might work, it's 31 ways that actually do work. 31 unconventional, battle-tested and proven traffic tricks for generating 8,968 visitors per month to any website. So that sounds a lot more believable. It's a bit more of a drawn-out headline, but if you're trying to get people who are actually wanting to take action, that sounds like something that's going to allow them to take action. Here's a subhead example: scrap those dusty old traffic tips others are dumping on you and trade them in for something more with more horsepower. The problem, you need to talk about the problem. Why are they here? How can you help them? You need to make them understand that they have a problem or pain. The opening: begin by identifying pain points that your target visitor is experiencing. Tell a story if possible, one that anyone in the same position can relate to. Asking questions is a great way to get them to admit or identify with pain points. For example, how long has it been since you felt sexy? Sick and tired of being sick and tired? Afraid to take your shirt off at the beach? Right, these are not only questions that help them identify as the person you're speaking to, they also help you identify yourself as somebody who understands their current perspectives or their current frustrations, which then identifies you as somebody they can trust, or somebody who has actual experience in what they're going through. So this builds up the trust, the relatability factor. The promise. You want to introduce the promise, which is your solution or your product. Introduce your product as the solution they've been looking for. You can list the benefits, what it'll do for them at the end, and the end result they'll achieve. As a tip, there's a difference between a benefit and a feature. The feature is what your product does. The benefit is what it does for them. So there's an age-old example used when learning copy, that of the air conditioner in a car. So the fact that the car has an air conditioner is a feature. The benefit of the feature is the fact that you can drive around on a hot day and still feel cool inside your car, right? So you could sort of say, if you can point at it and say what it is, then that is a feature. And then to answer the benefit of that feature, or to find out what the benefit of that feature is, you could say, why does that feature exist? Well, aircon exists to cool me down on a hot day. Simple. Then you can glamorize the copy a little bit more. So, for example, take a long drive on a hot summer's day with the windows open, feeling the wind in your hair while also keeping yourself cool inside your car, right? Cool. So there's a couple more points here, but I don't want to make this video too long. I think I'll create another video going into the rest of these points. As you can see, we're only halfway through the document. I'm starting to get a little bit tired myself, so I think we'll wrap it up on this video. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys took something away from it. Once again, the purpose of this video wasn't to make you a masterful copywriter. It wasn't even to teach you how to write copy at all. It was simply to inform you of the different components involved in copywriting, all of which will be components we go into in much greater detail, in a far more systemized and clear manner than currently, because I can understand all of you most likely are saying, okay, well, what's the next step? What do I actually do with all of this? This hasn't helped me at all. Well, if you're aware now of components of copywriting that you weren't aware of previously, then this video has done its purpose. So basically, all the emails and all the questions I get in the Facebook group, this is the video I'm going to direct them towards, with timestamps that relate to all the different things we've spoken about. Anyway, so if you're in the group, you've watched this video and you see somebody ask the same question, do me a favor and just send them to this video. Awesome. Thanks so much.